Well, it's been ages since I've recorded a video. I've been on a 2-month work-related break. So anyway, this is the current version of the deck that I'm testing. There have been a number of changes. Most of the changes are probably going to stay. We've added Hinder, Spell Crumple, Phyrexian Metamorph, replacing Copy Artifact, Steel, Sculpting Steel, and one other card. I don't remember what it was. At any rate, the last card, however, is a test, and that is this one, Trading Post. Almost certainly not going to stay, but I want to give it a fair shake anyway. What I was looking for was a way to destroy my own mana crypt with value. So at the moment, we're going to try a Trading Post out. Anyway, moving on with the game. This is a game against Television's Nick. He's playing mono-colored blue. I'm going to kill the magic sound. Running Sakashima the Imposter. And let's see what happens. Let's get this going. There we go. As always, I'm running Sliver Queen, or as you saw on the other side. So I go ahead and keep this. It looks like a good hand. He won the roll. And I'm going to kind of advance through some of these turns early. He's got a pretty devastating start there. 6 mana to my 1. And hey, why not have more mana in some of my cards too? So, and while he gets all that extra mana, he's now going to be able to pump it into drawing additional cards. So pretty much, there's really no way I should win this. So the first thing I do, because Sword of Feast and Famine destroys the utility of Winter Orb, is I pitch the orb. Questionable, just because... Okay, real quick. So it was a questionable decision just because Orb is so good if I do get control, but it was a choice I made. Anyway, so I was playing on the laptop. The screen looks different if you've seen some of my recent recordings. And I accidentally hit the F6 key and skipped my turn. My opponent agreed to skip his turn as well, and so we just carry on with... I drew and said go, he drew and said go, and then I am continuing my turn. Imagine he's tapped out right now, basically. And of course, if that 3 life actually, the extra 3 life from the mana crypt actually mattered, well, then whatever. So it's his turn. He floats an Ancestral Vision, plays a Strip Mine, and draws a card and gets in for some damage. This time I decide to pitch Karn because it'll be a long time before I can get to 7 mana, and it's pretty hard while I'm discarding every turn. So he draws yet another card. And I just go for it. I absolutely have to have this land for me to even have a chance in the game. Luckily he didn't strip any of my lands. Would have bought him a turn. Vandal Blast resolves though, so I'm sort of in the game. His Visions has, what, 3 counters on it? I'll go ahead and leave that up so we can keep track. There's been some sort of glitch lately I've noticed with these squares. I don't know if anyone else is seeing it, but hopefully it gets fixed. So wonderful, Consecrated Sphinx. Pretty hard to recover from a Consecrated Sphinx alone. On its own, let alone all the other stuff that's in play. So I think for a while, I think about throwing down the staff, I think about Tez, and then I just decide to wait. I want to have Spell Crumple ready. Yeah, he has a lot of cards, but what I really don't want him to do is play Sakashima and have 2 Consecrated Sphinxes. But instead he tries to take an extra turn, so either way I'm saying no. And for whatever reason he leaves a strip. He lets me have land. So this works out great. because I now have 5 islands, and even if he strip mines in response here, I'm still gonna have enough to take his Sphinx. So I was really it would have been nice in a way if that Visions had resolved and I drew 6 cards here, but that's okay, I'll take 2. And I figured at this point that he would do something about it, or he would clone it with Sakashima, but we'll see what happens. He gets in for the easy beats, kills Tez. And he plays Phyrexian Ingester, so it's like going to be too big for me to steal with Shackles, for one thing. It's like a duplicate, it's another duplicate, basically. New card, okay. My deck loves me though, so goodbye Ingester. And here I had a tough debate. Do I steal the Azure Mage and then start drawing cards with it? Or do I play the staff and shoot it? And ultimately, back and forth I went. The choice I made was play the staff and shoot it. And the reason is that this draws cards for 0 mana. He draws cards for 4 mana. I'll take the free cards. Of course, my opponent's loaded up. He's drawn, what is it, 7 more cards than I have this game. A Morph. Finally realizes he needs to kill my land. Shuts off my red. Seems good. And and he plays Sword of Body and Mind. So I draw from my turn, or from my staff, and during my upkeep I go ahead and factor Fiction. And the reason I factor Fiction here is because I'm hoping to find a tutor that puts the card I want on top of my deck. So he makes a split like this, and I go ahead and select this pile because I really wanted to have some sort of counterspell available. And I have a lot of mana, and even though I would be able to flash back the Deep, this representing like 5 cards here, this also represents 5 cards. One of them is a counter, so I take that. Drawing for the turn, I get a seal. Now, in a way, it would have been better the other route, because I would have had more mana. I could have sealed and flashed back Deep, but oh well. So I take his Morph, and it turns out it's a Vesuvian Shapeshifter. For 2, I could flip it, and it'll become a copy of anything in play. And the main reason I took it here is because Sword of Body and Mind I really don't want to get hit with. Although it's the least painful of all of them to get hit with. You get hit with it and sometimes just mills off Ancient Grudge and then you kill it. Take the token, carry on. So I chump, which is great. That's all you want to do with Shackles for the most part, is just chump. Destroy his whole army with 1 card. So he goes Stolen Goods, and I really thought about just letting him have it. I mean, if he hits an artifact mana, whatever. If he hits a counter spell, he won't be able to play it. But I also have bombs. I mean, I have Jace, I have Liliana Vess. I mean, he could hit Mind Twist, and that'd be for 0, but he could also hit, like, Clone on my staff. I just felt like it was too risky to let it go. If I'd have been in a more dire straits, I would have just let it slide and hoped for the best. As it turns out, he would have got a Coalition Relic, so bummer. So I seal, and then draw the card I seal for, which was Mana Drain. And how awesome is that? There's a stroke right on top of a Mana Drain. I mean, there's no better place for a Stroke of Genius to be than the next card after a Mana Drain. Anyway, I take the Mana Drain because I'm actually in a solid board position. I have a card drawing engine going. I have more card drawing here. And really all I want to do is just hold my position and let staff win the game for me. Of course, with stroke showing up like that, I have an even better proposition for you. So I take his guy and shoot him with the staff at some point. And he plays a Hellkite. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could steal the Hellkite. Steal the steel Hellkite. And I definitely thought about it. It would be able to block the Trinket Mage. It would not do anything with the Maze of Ith, of course, as far as attacking goes. But I thought maybe this was like a bait spell. Like maybe he's trying to trick me. If he knows I can take it, so maybe if I take it and then he's going to find some way to, you know, like maybe as like control artifact or who knows. But the more I think about it, I mean, I have a counter, excuse me. So he's like activating his X ability, and I set it to ignore that in case he was trying to time me out. So the more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, it doesn't matter that much. So I let it go with Vedalken, thinking if he's got a trick, I'll just counter it. However, due to having top-decked regrowth, I decided I can go ahead and blow a Terminus now, make Sakashima even more or less worthwhile, and just chill out. I mean, hiding behind a staff, shackles, counter spells, it's perfect. And I've got a regrowth in case I regret that Terminus. So he plays a Treasure Mage, and I decide I'm not going to deal with that. I'm just going to deal with whatever it is he gets. And he goes and gets Hellkite again. So something's probably going on with that. He's got some kind of a plan. The thing is, he's got Myron over here, so I shouldn't be able to steal everything with shackles. If I'm not careful and I try to take a blocker, he'll just eat it in response, and then I won't have a blocker, and I'll get hit with something like equipped with sword, for example. But all that's predicated upon him having mana, and at no point in this game has he had that kind of mana to be able to do that. So he does the Hellkite time me out trick again. And I decide with regrowth in hand, I'm going to do something else. Okay, so I regrow Vandal Blast and just blow up his board. He's already used a Strip Mine, so I leave these two untapped. That way if he top decks a Wasteland, he can't kill my islands and then push a spell through. So that way, I figured this way I take out his creature, I take out the sword, which could be a threat, slow his mana down. That's 2 blue I killed. Seemed pretty good. I was really back and forth on the regrowth play, but because I haven't used Will yet, I figured it'll be fine, and later on I can go ahead and get the Winter Orb back, because that's what I really would have liked to have regrowthed. However, when I have this many counterspells in hand, Winter Orb is less important. So I remand Muldrifter in order to encourage him to play it and kill it. That way I don't have to shackles it. And it saves me mana next turn. And he does. I'm not sure what I was thinking letting Treasure Mage go. Oh, yes I am. The Abyss. Yeah, so it kills a creature during their upkeep, so if I didn't let that go, it would take 2 turns to kill it. But this way it'll die to the Abyss, and I'll have shackles ready for anything he plays. So I leave 4 mana untapped. I've got Counterspell and a Mana Drain now. I mean, feeling amazing in this position here. With Staff going in Forbidden Hand, ultimately I can get him, if I can get him with a discard outlet, which I could search for with Wargate, like Liliana Vess, I could get him to no hand, and then every turn I draw 2 cards. If he casts it, I forbid with buyback, and if he doesn't, I Vess him and build my hand up. So that's kind of like the gameplay now. Of course, these 2 cards sitting here might totally change everything. I'm just waiting. And yeah, that looks like a juicy target. I think I'll draw 10 cards. However, he realizes, I guess, that that's it. Giving me 10 mana next turn is probably bad news, and he loses. So considering how this game went, I hope you enjoyed it. It was quite an interesting game, being able to recover from the terrible position my opponent had me in. I'll see you next time.